Okay, guys, today is Thursday, February 7th, and we are going to work on verifying trig identities. Yesterday we were simplifying, which will help us today, but today we're verifying. So here's a few steps for you. First, we want to divide into two parts, and then we're going to simplify each side separately, and then the third step is we will work until both sides are equal. So the difference between yesterday and today, we were dealing with expressions, and today we actually have an equal sign there. So here's first example. We're going to verify that secant squared minus 1 over secant squared equals sine squared. So divided it into two equal parts. Now this right side here is fairly simplified, so we may not even touch it, but I'm going to start simplifying this left side and see if I can reach a point where it equals the right side. So we could take secant squared minus 1 over secant squared. I can see this as two separate fractions there, so I'm going to write that as secant squared theta over secant squared theta minus 1 over secant squared theta. So separate that into two separate fractions. Then I can rewrite this as 1 minus, this would be cosine squared theta. And then 1 minus cosine squared is sine squared. So like I said, we didn't even have to touch this right side. We just worked with the left side, and as soon as I reach a point where those two sides are equal, then we're done. Okay, let's look at another one. Let's verify cotangent squared theta over 1 plus cosecant theta equals 1 minus sine theta over sine theta. So I'm going to divide those in half. Cotangent squared, I'm going to rewrite that as cosecant squared theta minus 1. That was one of your Pythagorean identities from yesterday. And we'll put that over 1 plus cosecant. And then you have a difference of squares in your numerator there, so I can factor that. So we're looking at cosecant theta plus 1 times cosecant theta minus 1, and that's over 1 plus cosecant. These guys will cross out, so I'm left with cosecant theta minus 1. Then I'm going to come over to this side like I did on the last problem. I'm going to separate the fractions. So 1 over sine is cosecant, and then sine over sine is 1. Okay, I've got one more for you. Let's verify that tangent x minus secant x times sine x plus 1 equals negative cosine x. This might be another one where I don't even have to touch the right side there. So let's take a tangent and rewrite that as sine over cosine minus 1 over cosine. And that's multiplied times sine x plus 1. Now I've got a common denominator there, so I can write this as sine x minus 1 over that denominator. And that sine x plus 1 is over 1. Now when I multiply these two, I multiply my numerators, and I get sine squared minus 1 over cosine. Sine squared x minus 1 is cosine squared x. No, negative cosine squared x over cosine. And then that can cross out. You can cross out one of those cosines and be left with a negative cosine x. There you go. That's how you verify trig identities. Enjoy.